Val.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Can you hear
Yeah,
me okay?
you
Okay,
sound great.
great.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Great. How was your President's Day weekend? Did you guys do anything fun?
No, we didn't. Tyler worked and I just hung out at home with my kids and it was the most boring weekend ever, but we survived. So
And
what
those
about you?
are sometimes the best.
Right?
Right. Okay. Well, welcome to the podcast. Thank
Thanks.
you for agreeing. This is so fun.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I feel honored to be here. So thank you so much for asking.
Of course. Of course. I've been wanting to have you on, but you know, life, and then I stopped doing it for a while. So now we're back up and running and it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so excited. So thank you.
Of course. Val, how did you get started?
Oh man, that is a long story, but
Good. Let's go.
okay, so I went to BYU and I had no idea what I wanted to major in. Like I was kind of lost. I originally wanted to do interior design, but they canceled the program right before I got there. And so I was like, great, what do I do? And so I bounced around a bunch of different majors and finally landed on landscape management, which is totally random, and graduated in that because I was like, oh, it's, it's like interior design for the outdoors. And so that's what I did. And I graduated and moved to California by myself. And I worked there for a while for a big landscaping firm. And I was not happy. I had no friends. I was all by myself. And I was like, what am I doing here? And so I left and moved back up to Utah. And that's when I started dating my husband and we got married and started a family. And when I had my first kid, I was like, I couldn't, like, my brain couldn't stop. And I was like, I need to do something. Like, I needed an outlet. And so I started all these random different little side businesses and things, and nothing ever stuck. But during that time, I had a recipe blog. My sister-in-law, when we first got married, she invited me to a recipe club that her and her friends had had for years. And they posted all their recipes on a blog. And I was like, oh, I love recipes. I can do this. So I started a recipe blog. And then, Instagram started taking off. And one day I was like, I saw someone selling pot pies on Instagram. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so I got one of the pot pies and it was not as good as I thought it was going to be. And I was super excited about it. I was like, I could make this, but better. And so I made a chicken pot pie recipe and I put it on my recipe blog and I was like, this is the best recipe, and people loved it. And then I just kept having like this feeling in the back of my mind, like you should do something with this recipe. And so I remember like, I'm just going to pull it off. And I pulled my recipe off my blog and I created an Instagram account and I just started saying, hey, I'm making these and selling these. Does anyone want them? And before I knew it, I had people coming, friends and family coming to my house, but also strangers coming to my house to pick up these pies. And I was like, okay, I have something here. And in the meantime, my husband was working. He was a partner in a home building construction business, and he wasn't that wasn't like his passion. He wasn't loving it, and he was wanting to start his own business. And so he, in the meantime, was like working on something else while I was having customers coming to our door and I was making money. And he was like, wait a second, I'm here kind of just doing my own thing while she has people paying for this product. So we decided to join forces and we opened up a location in 2016 in Pleasant Grove. And it was kind of more of like an industrial warehouse location. It wasn't like a retail spot. And we decided we're going to start selling all these pot pies and delivering them to people. Like that was our model, is we wanted to be an online e-commerce that we delivered pot pies to people. And we did that, and he stayed working for his other business and I kind of ran it with, I had another girl, my friend Liesel, she came and started working with me, and we ran it for like a year or two before Tyler officially left his company and fully joined us. I mean, he was working on it full time on the side, but then he was there full time with us. And that was a whole journey in of itself. And yeah, that's kind of how we started. So
Okay.
that's,
I have a
yeah.
lot of questions.
Okay. Sorry, that was a lot.
No, I love it. Why were you interested in interior design?
I just like things to be beautiful, and I'm very creative. I love things to look good and to feel good. And I don't think I could have been a good interior designer, but I don't know if now looking back, if that would have been the right path for me. I feel like I don't make decisions. Well, I don't know. I just don't think that would have been the right path. I feel like everything works out the way it's supposed to, and I'm where I should be. So
For sure. And then like, what were some, when you said when you had your babies, you started just doing random stuff. What were some of the jobs you were doing?
oh man, I made like these little church bags that you could put like your scriptures in, and like coloring pencils and stuff for kids. For girls, they were really cute. I did I did floral design for a second, and I did flowers for someone's wedding, and I feel to this day horrible because I'm like, I did such a terrible job. I'm like, I feel so bad. I hope I didn't ruin her wedding because it was just a disaster. But just random things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was the same. Like so when you had your first baby, were you surprised that you wanted to do other stuff besides be a mom? You know what I mean? Because I think it kind of
Yeah.
caught me off guard. I was like, oh, I actually don't feel 100% fulfilled. And I mean, I love my kids. I love being a mom,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
wanted a little more.
Yeah, it was like kind of two different feelings. Like when I was younger, I always kind of envisioned myself like working and doing something that was meaningful outside of uh, having a family. But at the same time, like all I wanted was a family. Like I remember going to school and I'm like, I just want to get married and have my family, and then whatever happens, happens, you know? And then once I did that, I was like, wait, no, I want to do other things. My brain is just going and I need more than, and I mean, I love being a mom. My kids are my favorite, my whole world. Everything's around them, but I just needed an outlet and other things for myself. And the weird thing for me is, and this is not common, is that Tyler, my husband, and I do everything together. And our relationship is like, a lot of it is our business, and we love it. Like that is so much for us to do together. And I know a lot of couples can't work together, but for us, it drives us together and it brings us together, and we love it. So yeah.
Okay. It's amazing. Okay, so tell me about your first location. It started out as a kitchen. When did it turn into like drive through? People can come pick up.
Yeah, so it was a journey. So we opened up in 2016, and the first year we were profitable. Every month we kept making money and we were good. And then we kept getting all of these messages from people all across the country saying, "We want your product. We want your product." And so Tyler and I were like, "Man, how can we get our product to people faster, because people are begging for it?" And so we're like, "We're going to do nationwide shipping." And we spent all this time and money developing like this packaging and everything to set up nationwide shipping. And we contracted with a shipping partner we would give them the product, they would store it, and then they would get the orders and ship it out. And so we were so excited. We built it up, launched our nationwide shipping, and we immediately had more orders than we'd ever have. It was like immediately successful. But then 4 days later, we had to shut it down because our shipping partner was dishonest and not competent. And it ended up being like one of the worst days in our lives. And we should have gone out of business. Like it was pretty bad. And luckily at the time, we had a really great attorney, and we're like, should we go after them? Should we sue them? And he's like, do you want to go through this whole process of litigation and losing time and money, or do you want to just walk away and rebuild? And we chose to walk away and rebuild. And so we spent about a year digging out of that. And that was really, really hard. And we learned quickly that shipping was bad, not good. And so we kept selling out of our warehouse, and we would do local deliveries. And over time, we were doing really great. Our sales were up, and we had, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2019. We had the highest sales month ever in our history of Crust Club. And it was the month of Pi Day. And Tyler's like, oh my gosh, we made so much money. We've made it. And he went through and looked at all of our numbers. and we had only made $2,000 that month. And it was like, what happened? Like, after all of our expenses were paid, we made no money. We were almost working for free. And then the next month after that, our sales historically would always start to go down in the summer months, starting in April. And then in April, we lost $10,000 that month. And from there, it was just like, kind of like the snowball of like, we don't have control of our expenses. We're not making any money, yet our sales are up. Like, what is going on? So Tyler, I feel like everything happens for a reason. When you're trying to do what you're supposed to do, God gives you these tender mercies. And Tyler randomly was at the gym, and this guy came up. He asked this random guy for a spot. And this guy was like, yeah, he spotted him. And then they started chatting, and he asked Tyler what he did. And Tyler's like, oh, we own Crust Club. And he was like, oh my gosh, we love Crust Club. My family loves it. And they started chatting, and this guy was a developer. And him and Tyler connected, and they worked together to build out this software system that managed all of our recipes, all of our inventory. And we spent about 6 months building that out, and then we implemented that. And then right during that time, Tyler started going on this journey of lean manufacturing, and we made all these efficiencies in our systems. We became very lean. We eliminated all the waste that we could, and we became so profitable, and we were making money, and we're like, oh my gosh, we've figured it out. We've applied all these principles, and we were able to produce more than we were selling. So at that time, we decided, okay, deliveries are not making us money. We looked at the numbers, and when people came and picked up from us, we were making about 25 to 30%. When we were doing deliveries, we're making about 5%. And so we're like, we got to cut off deliveries. And so we're going to do a drive-through. So we started the drive-through. It took over like a year to build because of COVID. Oh, and COVID was interesting. When COVID hit, we were prepared because Tyler had done all the lean and everything. When COVID hit, we would like triple our production, tell everyone we're going to put it online, and in literally 30 seconds to a minute, it was all sold out. Like, it was insane. And so we were prepared for that, and we're like, okay, now we're prepared for a drive-through. We opened up our drive-through in February of 2022, and that was immediately like profitable, and it was amazing. And we're like, okay, this is how we move forward. So we decided we were going to franchise, and Tyler's like, we're going to make a 3-month plan. We're going to get everything in order, all of the things prepped and ready to go, and then we're going to start franchising. And I kid you not, to the day of that 3 months, I got a message from one of our employees saying, hey, the owner from Crumble called and wants to talk to Val. And we're like, okay, that's random. And so we're like, maybe they want to do a collaboration or something, who knows what. So Tyler and I went and met with them a few days later, and they were like, we love your business, we love what you're doing, and we want to acquire Crust Club. And we were like totally shocked. We were not prepared for that at all. But I knew in that moment that was what we needed to do. Like, I just had this overwhelming feeling. Like, I didn't know all the particulars or what was going to happen, but I knew that this was like meant to be, and this is what we had to do. So we went from there and sold Crust Clubs to Crumble, and that was an experience in and of itself. That was intense.
So that was in 2022.
Uh-huh.
How long did it take to close the deal?
It was 30 days, I think. We did it fast. From
when they first
Yeah, it was at 30 or 60. I'll have to ask Tyler. I have the worst memory, but it was fast. Like, and the reason why it was fast is because our books were so clean. Like, we didn't have other owners. We didn't have all this weird stuff going on. Our books were super clean, and Crumble loves to move fast, and we like to move fast. And so we made it happen. It was fast.
Honestly, though, I feel like when I brought on investors, we closed in 30 days too. And once we made the decision, like, let's get this done. And it's so much easier. It's so nice just to get it done.
Right. It's like, if you've already made the decision, don't drag it out. Just get it over with and move on to the next phase. Right. So, yeah.
Okay. So then, did you guys have like a buyout? Did you have time that you had to keep working in the business? Like, how did the transition work?
Yeah. So they wanted me to stay on as a part owner, and they didn't want Tyler to stay on. And so Tyler left completely, and I stayed on with a partial ownership of Crust Club. They had the majority. And so I was their business partner, and I stayed on working with them in the Crumble headquarters and at Crust Club for 8 months. And that was a really interesting situation. And I knew it wasn't for me. And it was really hard to walk away. And because, Crust Club was my baby. I started it in my home kitchen, and I loved it. And I loved our customers, and I felt obligated to our customers. And so that was really hard to leave them, but I also knew that it was time and that it was the right decision. And so I sold completely to Crumble, and that was in 2023. And then we've just moved on from Crust Club since then. So,
I mean, what a transition though, to go from like sole owner
yeah,
to partner.
yeah,
But I'm assuming you were a minority partner
yes,
at that time.
mm-hmm.
And so all the decisions, everything came through you to like, now you kind of don't, but you don't know. And also you can't really make any decisions. Like, how was that transition for you?
It was really hard because I went into that situation so excited and so hopeful, and I'm like, I just wanted to be a sponge. I wanted to learn everything I could from them. I was so grateful to them, and I just wanted to be a part of their organization. And Tyler and I, Crust Club and Crumble started around the same time. Crumble grew huge really quick. Crust Club took a while. We had to figure some things out, but we really figured out some important principles to help us be profitable. And I feel like those foundational things were kind of non-negotiables for me, because that's how we became successful. And when I went to Crumble, it was just this weird feeling that they knew better about everything. And I tried, and I even would try to bring Tyler in and try to like explain our systems and our processes and the things that we knew worked for our customers. And it was just kind of like this feeling of that we were cute and we didn't really know, and that they knew, and we immediately started losing money. And it was hard to see. And so it was really hard trying your best to be a team player and do it their way and be there with them, but not getting that kind of back,
Yeah, I can imagine. I've had a few friends that's been the scenario when they were acquired, is that there was kind of like this slow rollout of the founder out of the business. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. Yeah. I think if you were in the same scenario again, someone came in and acquired Peachy, would you just, here you go?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like one of those things where it's like you can't be romantic about it. You love it. It's something that you built and you grew and it's important to you, but you either have to stay in it or you have to say goodbye. You can't have it both ways, I feel like. Or you can, but it's probably gonna be really hard,
Yeah, because it's so hard as a founder to not take things personal anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, your DNA is wrapped up in the business.
Exactly.
And so it's so hard to not be like, wait, I know the outcome of this. Like, just chill.
Right.
And just to let it go. Oh, so hard. I can't imagine. Okay, so then what'd you do? Did you take some time off, or you've always had Peachy working? Or first tell us about Peachy, and then, or actually you tell your story. You're doing a great job.
Good. Yeah. So I left, and Tyler was actually working on a different business once, because he had time after he left Crust Club while I was still there. And so he started working on a different business. And I had the idea for Peachy several years ago, and it was just something that was always in my mind. And Tyler was fully working on this new business. And then it was weird, like simultaneously, we both had the thought come to us that we needed to pursue Peachy. And then we started talking about it, like, wait, you're thinking about, we didn't realize we were both thinking about it. And so we decided to ditch what he was already working on and go all in on Peachy, which is basically, it's an app for all of your recipes. It combines all of your recipes, whether you have them on recipe cards, in notebooks, in cookbooks, online. It puts them all in one place so that you don't have to be searching for them, and you don't have to deal with ads and all the annoying things with recipes. And so we started that, and we had this whole idea of how it was going to go and how it was going to be. We got a team, and it's been awesome. What we've built, we're really proud of, but it hasn't worked out exactly the way we anticipated. And the interesting thing was, I can't remember when it was. It was last year. I think it was during the summer. Tyler came to me and he's like, I have a new idea for something and I think you're going to hate it. And I was like, okay, let's hear what it is. Cause he's always has ideas and he's always like saying things. And most of them are kind of like, well, that's nice, but we'll never do that. And he told me this idea he had. And the second he told me, I was like, we have to do this. Like, we can't not do this idea. And so we had Peachy going on. So like, how do we do this? So we decided to kind of put Peachy on maintenance mode and let it be there. We're still building it slowly behind the scenes, but it's more kind of like there. People can use it and it's great. I use it every day. But we are now in the process of getting ready to launch our new business in March, called Dozen. And Dozen, like, we are so excited for it. We feel like we are called to do this. We feel like Tyler and I are specifically meant and in a place to do this with all of our background knowledge with Crust Club and with Peachy and building an app. And so it's an app that connects home bakers with local buyers. So it's basically what I wish I would have had when I started Crust Club out of my home. And it manages all your orders. It gets you customers so you can focus on just making your product and getting it out there. And we found with Crust Club that your best customer is your closest customer. And, you know, a lot of people try to ship their product or take it to farmers markets and do all these things. And the amount of money and time that you waste in that, it really adds up quickly. And so we know that on-demand food is what people want and they want it close. And so there's nothing out there that exists like this to get people, you know, home baked goods from their neighbors just right down the road. So we're really excited about it and we're launching it in the end of March. And I'm just, you know, one of the things I'm really passionate about is helping people do what they do best and grow their dreams and grow their businesses. And I want to help people who want to bake out of their homes or who need more income and can't leave their homes to have an opportunity to grow a really successful business through Dozen. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Oh my gosh. It's so smart. It's like a TaskRabbit for bakers. So like so does it work both ways? Like if I'm like, oh, I actually am hosting an event at my house and I'm looking for 5 dozen rolls, can I go on there and search? Like that?
Yeah. So it's basically like a DoorDash for home bakers. Someone
says, do they need a license? How does that?
Okay.
Like that?
So yeah, here's the great thing. It depends on where you're at. And this is something that Dozen will help with. The fantastic thing about starting this in Utah is Utah has the Homemade Food Act, which basically says, and this is a newer thing over the past few years, where you do not have to have a license to make food and sell it out of your home. All you have to do is you have to put a label on it, and you cannot sell it to like a third party. Like you can't do wholesale or sell it to someone who sells it to someone else. You have to sell it directly to the customer. But in Utah, there's no licensing. So it's really perfect for launching this because the barrier to entry is so low. In other states, there's might be other requirements, but in Utah, that's what it is.
So you're going to start with Utah and then expand from there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So when are you launching?
So we are launching, our beta launch, I believe, is March 14th.
Okay.
And then I think like a week or two later is when the official launch. I think it's March 28th. I can't remember exactly the dates, but we're starting with just a few zip codes in northern Utah County, and we're going to go expand from there.
Is Provo one of them?
It's not.
Dang it. I was going to start a side hustle.
I know, but we will get to you so fast. And, you know, that's the biggest, you know, I have zero doubts in the ability of Dozen to be successful. I know that it's going to transform so many people's lives. The thing that keeps me up at night and Tyler is just the initial launch, getting enough people on both sides on there at once to really get it going. But I know that once it gets going, this thing is just going to spread like wildfire. But
you need help with a launch party, I can help you.
Yes.
I'm actually, yeah, let's talk after. Let's talk offline.
For sure. Yes.
Because I have like the activation for this. We could come up with something really fun. We could do really fun stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Let's talk. That would be amazing.
Okay.
We have a baker workshop that we're doing next Friday where we're inviting sellers who want to be sellers on Dozen in the zip codes that we're launching. And they get to come, and we have a photographer coming, a videographer. We're going to have them get like photos of their products and videos, and then they get to sit down with me and Tyler. One thing that we're building out on with Dozen and on the side of Dozen is this recipe manager. And I am really excited about this because it is how we transformed Crust Club. And it gives you the ability to see your numbers in real time. It connects with like Walmart, so you can see your pricing. And so we're going to be launching that as well, so that people can actually know, one, how to price. People don't know how to price their products because they don't know their costs, they don't know their labor, they don't know all these things. And so this program is going to help with that. So we're launching that as well. And I'm really excited about that.
Dozen, I'm not going to lie. Here's what I thought.
Yes.
Which we should add this to it, is it was a way to get eggs.
Oh my gosh.
So
right?
You should add home chicken girls.
No, you seriously could get on Dozen. If you have chickens, you could sell your chicken eggs on Dozen.
Or you could connect with bakers. Like, hey, you can have, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so incredible. I love the internet and the democratization of all this information, and it is so cool. Okay, tell us what zip codes you're launching in. Like, what cities are they in?
Okay, I don't remember the zip codes off the top of my head, but I know it's Highland and Alpine and Pleasant Grove, Linden, and Lehigh. Okay. I believe are the ones we're starting with. So yeah, just northern Utah County. Okay. So
amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is so exciting. That's so fun.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So when you were little, were you always like making money or like thinking of stuff, or do you feel like Tyler became the yin to your yang and like just kind of brought this out in you, or like tell me a little bit about that?
I wasn't always like trying to make money when I was little, but I was always wanting to be in the kitchen. I always wanted to make recipes and bake. I loved baking. And so that has always been something that I've loved. And even till now, that was one of the, my main roles with Crust Club is creating the recipes and doing all of that. So with Tyler, he is my yin to my yang. Like nothing would have happened. Nothing would have gone anywhere without him, because I'm not medically diagnosed, but I know that I have like severe ADHD because I cannot focus very long on things and I get distracted very easily. And he is the most consistent person you will ever meet, and he gets stuff done. And so I was kind of like the creative one doing all these things, and he was the one kind of harnessing that and figuring out how to make it actually work and be profitable. So yeah, but I honestly, and this might be kind of bad to say, when I married Tyler, he's half Hawaiian, and I had no idea he had this entrepreneurial spirit. And I knew he worked hard, but I was kind of like, is he just going to be like, what is our future going to be? And like, as we started getting married, like this entrepreneur just came out of him, and I realized like this is who he is, like to his core. And there's not a ton of, Polynesian entrepreneurs out there. And so it's been really fun to see him grow in that. And it's who we both are. We just have different sides of the spectrum, I feel like, to our personalities.
Yes. I love that. Okay. And then you've talked a lot about faith in your entrepreneurial journey. And I'm so interested in that. Faith plays a huge part in my entrepreneurial journey as well. But I'd love to hear like some moments, or has it always been that way, or has it grown together? Or I guess I'm just curious as to where that came from and how you've cultivated that over time.
Yeah. I mean, we've always relied on our faith, on our Savior to get us through everything. Like that's always been it's like been our number one priority. And, we've been through some really, really hard things, like I said earlier, where we should have gone out of business. And then there's other times where we know that things, they didn't happen just because. It wasn't just coincidence. And I know that nothing that we've done, none of our success, none of the things we've done has been us. It is because we've relied on our Savior, we've relied on our faith, and that's how it's really pulled us through. And we don't take that for granted. It's part of our everyday lives. It's something that we put all of our focus on, and it's really important to us, and it's gotten us through. So it's been amazing.
I love that. We I feel like I've struggled as I've like grown as a business person and then also grown in my faith. Not struggled. Like at the end of the day, I have employees, and like I have to be careful what I say sometimes. You know, like I'm not trying to force my faith on anyone, but it just comes out. You know, because that's how I live my life. Yeah. And so, I still will be careful. But at the end of the day, it's like, if people ask me like, why are you successful? It's like, well, because it's not just me. Like, I feel like it's because of God. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, we just rely on him, because there's no way we could do what we've done. There's just no way. And I feel like, my faith has never wavered, but Tyler has been all, like I said, he's the consistent one, and he's always been the one that's like just down on his knees and like, I don't know how we're going to get through this. And somehow he figures it out, just through relying on Jesus, and so it's who we are. And I feel the same way. Like, we don't try to push it on to people, but it is who we are.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so now I want to go back to you guys shipping. Too bad Ozempic didn't happen before you guys started shipping cold stuff, because they got it all figured out now, how to ship.
Wait, what was that?
Ozempic. Because of like these GLP-1s, everyone ships cold stuff.
Well,
I'm sure you know this.
It wasn't just the cold stuff. Here was the problem with shipping.
Okay.
Because pot pies, one, it's the amount of money you have to spend to get the pie shipped. Like, you have to pay for all the packaging, you have to pay the carrier and all these different things and all the different hands that hold it. And so, one, you're losing money there. Two, it wasn't reliable. Like, sometimes it would show up and sometimes it wouldn't. And if it was a day or two late, you've got a pot pie that's ruined, and so it just wasn't reliable enough. And some people got their product and it was great, but it wasn't enough of them to make it worthwhile, and we weren't making enough money on it to be like, this is our pathway forward. The food margins are different, I feel like, very different from maybe other things that can ship that make more sense.
Yeah.
So that makes,
yeah, and the weight of it, probably really heavy.
It's really heavy. Yeah.
Okay, so you felt like I've had partners or people that work for me or outside people come in, promise the moon, and then just like totally not deliver. Mm-hmm. And so I know that feeling of betrayal when that happens. And so how did you move past that? How'd you guys move past that?
Well, we decided from that point on that we were going to take control and do everything that we possibly could in-house, and only outsource things that we literally could not do. Like, we could not make the wheat and the flour for our pie crust, but we decided that nobody's going to care about our product more than we do. And so we need to be in control of that. And so that's when we really, a lot of people in the food industry will find ways to have other people manufacture part of their products. Like, they'll have like ingredient packets that include like their spices or different seasonings or whatever that they can put in. Or they might just make their product all together. Like, we thought about maybe having a company make the fillings for our products. And we're like, anytime you do that, you're wasting money and you're losing control. And so we just decided, that was an extreme example when we gave our product to this shipping company, who we lost, so much money, so much product on that. And we're like, we're never going through this again. So, like I said, we obviously didn't ever work with them again. We didn't litigate. We just moved on from that. And we're like, we're just going to dig out of this hole however we can, but we also will not work with third parties again. But we worked with other third parties selling our product. We tried different things. We sold through Fizz. We sold through Mobetas. Made product for them. We did different things, and we found that for us, wholesale was not our game. It was not our play. And we did mini cookies for Swig. I don't know if you remember the mini chocolate chip cookies that Swig had. Those were ours. After we sold Crust Club, we had to stop making them because obviously Crumble, it was conflict of interest. And so we had like a contract with them for like a certain million something cookies, and we sold through them. And then they had other cookies after that. But those first initial mini chocolate chip cookies at Swig were made by us.
Like the really thin ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those were so good.
Yeah, they were good. They were good.
They were so good. Val, maybe you should sell them on Dozen and I'll come get some from you.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. It's tempting. It's like, oh my gosh, I could do so many different things. And then I'm like, wait, I gotta like focus and just make it so that other people can sell their stuff. But yeah, it's my sister-in-law just said, she's like, do you know anywhere where I can get like 500 mini cookies for my nephew's getting married? And I'm like, oh man, should I just make them? But anyway.
Okay, so not to keep harping on it, but I have how I feel about it is people come to me all the time, like, how can I protect my product? Or how can I ensure no one's going to rip me off? Or, you know, someone just ripped me off. What do I do about it? And it's like, well, you actually don't have infinite amount of energy. Your energy is finite. And you can either put energy and time into like going after this person who screwed you over. But you've already lost the money, you've already lost time. So now you're going to lose more money, more energy, more time. Yeah. Or you can kind of cut your losses and go, we're going to take the energy and time that we do have, and maybe even this increased energy because we're angry, and we're going to move it into growing. And I feel like you can either fight your battle here or you can fight to grow, but I don't think you can do both. You can't dual track that.
I absolutely agree. I actually have two examples of that. So when I first started Crust Club out of my home, I had this really weird experience where this other person who was selling pot pies in a far a ways away did some shady stuff, and like it was really weird. And I'm like, we're not even by each other. We are so far apart. Our customers would not even be the same customers. Like, this is weird. And it just fueled my fire. It just was one of those things where I'm like, they can do whatever they want. I'm not going to focus on that. And then it just was like one of those things that Tyler and I, it's just going to fuel our fire, and we're just going to work harder. Like, we're going to prove that we can do this even more. And then the other example is one of the interesting things that I experienced when I was at Crumble is that they look at everything that everyone is doing. They are constantly looking at the competition. They're constantly looking at whether they're small or big. I would get messages from multiple people there all the time being like, look at this company, what they're doing, look at this, what they're doing. And I'm like, it was foreign to me, because when I was the sole owner of Crust Club, Tyler and I, we had our blinders on and we just like got to work, and all we focused on was our customer. We didn't care about what anyone else was doing, what other businesses were going on. All we focused on was the customer, and our customers could tell. And that's how we grew and became successful. And so I just feel like it doesn't matter what other people are doing. There will always be copycats. There will always be people doing what they're wanting to do. And all that matters is, are you trying to do what's right? And are you focused on the most important person, and that is your customer?
Right. I feel like for me in the past, it's been like a sense of control where I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel out of control. What is this other person doing? Let me spend a little bit of energy. Like, expended energy feels like control. And for as an entrepreneur, you always feel out of control, you know? Right. And so I feel like it's such an easy trap to fall into, but I love the getting back to your customer. I have a friend, Taylor Shoup, and he always says, good brand is empathy. And I think that is so true. Like, at Crust Club, you could feel the empathy you guys had for your customers. Like, what problem are you solving for your customers? Get back to that. And then it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing, because you're serving the people that are coming there to spend the money, who are ultimately the most important.
Exactly. Your customer doesn't care what other people are doing. The customer cares about themselves. Like, they're coming to you because they need something. And so it's like, how are you helping them with what they need? You know, they don't care about what other drama is going on, you know?
No.
So,
in fact, they don't. A lot of times I don't want to be part of it.
Right? Exactly. Exactly.
Like, I don't care. Okay. So with Dozen, are you guys doing also like, so you said there's a back end that you can see. Are you guys doing like business consulting as well within it, within the app?
We, yes, in a very, we're trying to make everything as transparent and as easy for everyone. So every person who is a seller on Dozen will have a dashboard, and we're going to show them their sales, their margins. Like, we're going to give them a clear view of everything that's going on. And I'm honestly, I can't remember how much we're launching with and how much we're going to keep adding as we grow. But that is one of the biggest things for us is you cannot be successful if you don't know what's going on. And so we are going to be giving them as much information so they can see what's happening. And then one thing that we are doing that it's going to be a mind shift for people, because this is not what people naturally think is right, but it is true that 85% of people want product on demand. There's very few people who want to plan ahead and order things in ahead. But home bakers right now, they function in this realm of everything is pre-order. Everything is, give me your order and then I will plan a day and I'm going to make that and then I'll sell it. And they think that's how they eliminate waste, because they know exactly what they need to make. But, and I don't need to get into all of it, but that actually causes a lot of waste. And so Dozen will only allow on-demand orders. There's no pre-orders. So it's kind of like forcing people into this way of selling that they might be like, wait, I want to do all pre-orders, but it's like, no, this is how you're actually going to make money. This is how you will find success and get more customers, is selling on demand. So we'll give them information, and we'll also kind of, not in a way, kind of just force them into these correct principles of how you should sell your products online to be profitable.
By on demand, you mean they make a bunch of stuff and then say, okay, this is for sale now?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, which I know it sounds like, no, that's not the right way to do it, but it absolutely is. We experienced that with Crust Club in such a profound way. When we opened up our drive-through and everything was on demand, that is where we were making money. Our numbers proved it time over time again. When we pre-sold things and we put it out there, that's not where we were making money. And when we sold Crust Club, you know, the restaurant industry having about a 20% profit margin is like, man, you've made it. You're golden. And when we sold Crust Club, we were making consistently close to 30, if not 30, every single month. So we were well above and beyond the high industry standard, because we'd figured out what our customers wanted and how they wanted it. And so that's what we're applying to Dozen. So you're like, this is how people want their product, and this is how you can make money doing it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds, but we're really excited for it. I mean,
we do that with sort of. We do that with our moccasin manufacturing here in Linden, where we call it on demand. But what happens is, if you order on our website today, we will make it tomorrow and ship it tomorrow. Uh-huh. And it's like totally different than how anyone else does manufacturing and clothing. They're like, oh, let me do what's called demand planning, which is actually a crystal ball that no one knows how to work.
Yep.
And we have a lot of waste in the world because of this, from fast fashion, because you can't predict what people are going to buy, you know. Exactly. But it's similar in that, hey, here's what I actually have for sale. When it's gone, and it creates demand.
Yes, absolutely, it does, because and what we'll show on Dozen is like, how many you have in stock, so people know, like, oh, I gotta hurry and get this before it's gone. And it's just it's a different way of thinking, but it's eliminating that waste. Everything is about eliminating waste and time. And when you have to the biggest no word that we have in Crust Club and business that we've come up with is batch and queue. We do not batch and queue. It is one piece flow. And so when
describe those different ones. Describe those. So what is batch and queue?
Is like, for example, when we used to batch and queue at Crust Club, we'd make a ton of product. We would freeze it all, put it in this massive freezer that we had. And then when people ordered it, we would give it to them. Well, how much money did we waste? We wasted so much money on that massive freezer. We wasted money on having to package up that product differently, and then wasting time on having to have our crew members put that in and organize that and sort that into the big freezer. And then the same thing, having to go get that and pull that out. Like there was so many touch points of waste. Whereas then if we made a smaller batch, we got it down. Like you said, we couldn't make every single thing right when the customer ordered it, but we, just like with your moccasins, we got it down as tight as we possibly could. And so we would make the smallest batch we could based upon what we thought we would sell that day. And then we wouldn't make another batch until we got down to a certain lower point. But it was like all on demand. We didn't freeze anything. It was right there, right close, and we can make it like that. And so instead of having to like pre-plan and make things days in advance, and then, you know what I'm saying, we cut that down. So that's where we're just saying batching, you don't want to batch. You want it just to be lean as possible. Eliminate as many steps as possible between you and the customer.
Yeah, the less touching, the more money you make. Yeah. And it is fun to like, when you go into entrepreneurship, it's like, oh, it's fun to be romantic about it and be like, everything is going to be this perfect little thing that I deliver. And at the end of the day, people don't care. You don't care. Your employees don't care. And how can I scale this with as little touches as possible?
Exactly. And, you know, with Dozen, the reason why people, you know, they're afraid, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear that I'm going to make something and it's not going to sell and I'm going to waste my time and money. And that's what we're trying to help people realize, is that the biggest fear is not getting sales. And it's so hard to get sales out of your home when what are your outlets to get the word out? You have social media. Well, social media is not effective because how many of your followers are in locations that can't get your product? And you know, like an email list. Well, I have like an email list for my neighborhood, and some of them don't check it all the time. And so it's like, I made this right now, and the only way I know I'm going to sell it is if I get pre-orders. Well, with Dozen, it's just like DoorDash. People are on there all the time. We're getting all of your neighbors on there, and we are actively pushing it out and getting it so that you can sell right there on demand, and you don't have to manage orders. I've sold stuff out of my home, and it's so it just takes out so much of your energy and time having to manage the orders when all you want to do is focus on making the really good food. And so that's what we're trying to eliminate for people, is just do what you do best. Isn't that one of your sayings, Susan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do what you do best, hire out the rest. Yeah. So bake your food, bake your goods, and then let Dozen do the selling and find the customer for you.
Yeah. Yep. And so that's what we're saying. Dozen is your partner. Like, we're not just another platform that's trying to like just take, you know, like, oh, we're just going to process your credit card orders or whatever. We're actually your business partner, helping you to sell and be successful.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Are you guys going to have like a little baker section for like little kids?
For what?
Like a lemonade stand? You guys should do a lemonade stand on Saturdays for little kids.
For little kids.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is like anyone can sell on Dozen. You know, I have some friends who have like daughters or kids who are like baking and stuff, and who are in high school, and I'm like, anyone could be on here, you know, like start whenever you are. Don't have to be this adult with all this experience, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. You guys are so smart.
Well, I don't know about that. I just feel like we've tried to live our life in a certain way, and I feel like we have just been given, you know, divine inspiration on how the direction we should go with certain things. And so that's what we're just trying to do. We're just trying to help people out. So
I love it. I love it. Okay. So how many kids do you have?
4. So my oldest is 15 and my youngest is 6.
So fun.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
so
don't
fun.
understand.
And so what do you hope your kids are learning by watching you guys?
I hope that they learn that they can do anything. You know, when I was growing up, I didn't realize what possibilities there were out there. I just had kind of a narrow view of, you go to school, you get an education, and you get a job, which is great. But I really wished I could have been exposed to more things and realized there's more, because I don't fit in a box. Like, I have a really hard time just kind of following what everyone else is doing. And so, and school was not like, I don't feel like I got what I could have gotten out of school, because it was very like, this is the narrow path. And so I just want my kids to know that they can do whatever they want. Like, if they want to do something, they can try it out and test, and they can fail, because I've failed so many times, and it's okay. And that you just keep trying to build and provide value. I think that's the biggest thing. It's not just like, well, I can do whatever I want. It's like, what value are you providing, and how are you learning and progressing? So that's what I hope for them.
Oh, I love it. Okay, this is kind of a funny last question, but out of you and Tyler, who's the rule follower and who's the rule breaker? Who thinks rules are suggestions and who thinks they're a way to live your life?
I don't know if either one of us do. I feel like I said, Tyler's very consistent. Like, Tyler is his own rule follower. Like, he like gets up at 4 a.m. He does his scripture study. He goes to the gym. Like, he is a machine. Like, he does his thing. But I feel like both of us are very big into taking risks. Like, we're not afraid to take risks. Like, it's still scary, but we're just kind of like, we will do whatever is necessary. And so I don't know if we're both into following rules when it comes to business. Yeah. So, yeah.
Like, my husband's always like, you can't cross a double white line. I'm like, it feels like a suggestion.
Yeah.
Like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we watched this show. Have you seen Juror Number 5? I think it's on Netflix. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it's just like it's this emotional thriller where this guy gets called to be a juror for a murder trial, and through understanding the evidence, he's like, oh wait, I actually might have killed the person. There might have been a hit and run, and it might have been me.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And then it ends like so ambiguous, like you don't know what happens. And Chris is like, what would you do? And I'm like, you keep your mouth shut. He's like, no, you tell them that it might be you. And I'm like, no, you don't. You keep your mouth shut. So anyway, it's just funny. Like, I love that we have both in our marriage and in our partnership, where it's like, he likes to really strictly follow all the rules. And I'm just like,
yeah, it depends. Yeah. What's the situation? Yeah.
Totally.
I feel like I don't know. I don't like to be, I don't like to be controlled. I like to be in control. I have a very hard time if people tell me what to do. So we're probably both rule breakers. So.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I love it. Val, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was so good. I'm so inspired. I want to go do a bunch of stuff now. I'm going to become a baker. I'm going to start a side biz.
Well, that's the thing, is I can't wait to see like what this brings out in people, and who gets on there, whether they just like do something once in a while, or if this becomes like their main thing. It'll be really interesting to see what people do. So I'm excited. And thank you so much for having me. This has been an honor. I feel like, I want to tell you, when we first started Crest Club, I feel like Freshly Picked and you were like my guideposts. Like, I would watch what you were doing on social and be like, okay, it would give me ideas. And I was always inspired by what you were doing. So to come full circle and to be on this with you, I just really appreciate all that you've done. And I'm grateful to be here. So thank you.
Of course. Yes. This is amazing. And thank you. You're the best.
You too.
All right. I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye.
Yes.